Hello everyone, Rich Nance here with your Defensive Tactics Technique of the Week. Today we're going to be talking about edge weapon defense. When you hear the term edge weapon, most people think of a knife, and it could be this type of knife that many of us train with, which is a rubber knife. It's good for training. This is probably a lot bigger than most of the knives that you're going to end up seeing on the street. It could be, though, that you're in a kitchen on a domestic violence. By the way, kitchen is not ideal, but sometimes that happens. Someone may grab a steak knife, whatever it is, but a knife like this with a fixed blade, that's something we could face. Another likelihood is this is a trainer, but this has a clip on it. Many people, obviously I know you carry more than one of these knives with them most of the time. We have them on patrol, and this is something that we would more likely face. So probably a little more likely to face this than that.
Everybody and their brother's got a folding knife.
Exactly, and while this blade may be not as long or scary looking as that one, this can inflict some serious damage for sure.
To my understanding, it only takes about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of cut to reach an artery on your body. Any artery cut is potentially lethal. So, 4 inches is plenty.
And the problem is, Frank, as you know, it's not usually going to be one cut, because unlike the single telegraphed robotic thrust that many martial artists like to defend against, so this, by the way, is a box cutter, another likely type situation. So let's say you have that box cutter. We're going to do an unrealistic attack, and I'm going to show a very unrealistic counter to that attack. Thrust that into me toward there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and block with what they call an X block. I'm going to re-grip his hand here, and I'm going to bring him over to this bar arm type position. Now from here, I can force this out of his hand. I can effect a takedown. I may be even able to strip this out of his hand, but that will not happen when the blade or whatever edge weapon you're facing is fluid. Defending against a fluid, and by that I mean an edge weapon in motion, is one of the most dangerous things you can possibly do. The reason is because the part that's going to cut you is moving so fast that if I try to catch up with, and it ain't going to happen. Just try it. Believe me, make yourself understand that those types of techniques. Let me show what I was going to try to do with that one on a slow. If you do something like this and end up in control and actually can disarm, it's probably unrealistic.
I attacked slow, and you weren't able to keep up with it.
What are you trying to say? If you do techniques like this and you're not able to do them against someone who's not really trying to cut you, imagine someone who's crazed and their sole purpose at that time is to stick that thing into you. I mean, do yourself a favor and see what works and what doesn't. A much better approach to an edge weapon type situation is, first of all, don't face it. And by that I mean, if you can use something like a coffee table or something like that to position between the two of you, that's not going to do much good against a firearm threat, right? But against an edge weapon, any contact distance weapon, a lot of environmental factors come into play that can really be used to your advantage. Worst case scenario, if you have to face that knife, what I strongly suggest is that you protect yourself the best you can. And here what I'm going to do, notice I'm not going to stand still and just try to spar with him, right? Some guys, even if they're real skilled, maybe I block 3 or 4 of them, but it's going to be multiple stabs or multiple slashes. So what I need to do at the earliest opportunity is take his balance. If I have his balance and he's going back on his heels, 2 things happen. That knife becomes less of a factor, and also you're making him now think about saving his own, you-know-what, rather than attacking you. So I don't know, against any kind of attack with this thing, it's going to come in from whatever angle you want. I'm going to come here. Now what I'm doing is I'm driving forward. So this isn't what's doing it. This is just momentarily to put this up here to try to prevent being cut, but I can't stay here because if I do, go ahead. So it's not a block and then a counter. What we're doing here is...
It's almost a straight.
Exactly. What we're doing here is we're just trying to separate this. Now watch my hand placement here. Forcing his head back is ideal, because what I'm going to do then is take a couple steps forward, shove him back. He may fall. That's a very high likelihood that he will. But even if he doesn't, what I'm doing is I'm taking those couple steps, shoving off, creating that separation, and then I can draw my firearm. Another thing I may do is, as I drive him back this way, I can run at a different angle. That time I ran off camera, seek cover or whatever I need to do. But that's really something you need to consider is, don't focus on trying to catch up and control the knife or the knife arm, because I'll be honest with you, if you could do this, if you could get to this position, there you go. Even if you could get to this position, that would be great in a way, unless he switched hands like that. But I just don't think it's very likely to happen. So again, give me a lower.
The bottom line is prolonged fights with somebody who's got an edged weapon. The longer it goes on, the more you lose.
It's going to end badly.
You've got to stop it, and you got to take control of it as fast as you can.
And we all know, the Tooler drill has taught us that this is not the answer. I mean,
correct.
That's the instinctive response for us because we see deadly threat, firearm. It's kind of good to have that mentality, but something has to happen to create enough distance and time for you to draw your firearm.
And I'm going to encourage our listeners, our watchers, to look at a different video specifically about the Tooler drill where we have this conversation. Here's reality. I've got a knife. I cut you. You shoot me. Let's say you shoot me right in the heart. It's a perfect shot. I have anywhere from 10 to 28 seconds left, minimum, to be able to continue to cut you. What are you going to do? Shoot me some more? You're still getting injured. You're still potentially losing your life. That's not the answer.
A tie is not acceptable.
Right. A tie is not acceptable.
So again, just as a refresher, even if it's something low, whatever it is, and right there, I might get a little cut on it. It certainly may happen. But at this point, I'm going to try to move this here and just drive him back, create distance. And now, keep in mind, even at this point, if he lunges forward toward me, this is not the answer, as you just said, to stay stationary and shoot. I mean, I'm going to be moving to cover whatever direction I can and getting rounds on range. Hopefully that will be enough. But an edge weapon is a very, very dangerous, even if it's something like a box cutter, very dangerous tool. I hate when people say, expect to get cut. You don't expect to get cut. You understand that you may be cut, and you commit to fighting through that to win the encounter. You don't go into a gunfight expecting to get shot. So that's just the wrong mentality as far as I'm concerned.